I'm Scott Rodeo. I'm the team physician for the New York Giants. I'm also an orthopedic surgeon at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York City. And we have the pleasure of having two guests tonight, Mr. Ronnie Barnes, the Vice President of Medical Services for the New York Giants, and Amani Toomer, the All-Pro wide receiver and Giants Ring of Honor member from the New York Giants. Ronnie?
Good evening, and nice to be with you. 40 years with the Giants, and I think you've probably been with me half of my career.
That's the 20 years for me, actually, now. 2000 I started.
20 years.
20 years. So, and Monty was there, and I was there, and Monty started before I got there in 1996, I recall, right, Monty? Your draft?
Yeah, the 96 draft, yeah, from out of the University of Michigan. And, you know, it was a great experience playing for the Giants, and it's an organization I really hold real dear to my heart. I feel like it's a place I really grew up, you know, coming from Michigan and going to the big city. It's been a great experience.
The Giants are a special organization, and certainly you excelled at the highest level. Being a member of the Giants Ring of Honor is really quite an honor. And so, actually, you make a start by, you know, we're talking a little about with the draft coming up. There's a lot of interest in the draft this year with everything that's going on and how it's different. I'd be curious to know what do you remember from your draft night? I'm sure it's a memorable night.
It was a memorable night. I didn't know quite where I was going to go. I mean, it was the weirdest thing is like you always hear that, you know, you don't know where you're going to go. And I used to watch the draft when I was younger, and I always thought, oh, these guys knew where they were going. They're just making it up. But then I'm sitting there watching TV and watching the draft, and I'm like, wow. Like, you know, every time the phone rings, you're like, oh, who is it? You know, and it was very nerve-wracking.
Right.
But luckily, it ended with the best possible situation for me. That's playing in New York.
Ronnie, all your years at the Giants, you've seen more drafts than any athletic trainer and truly in the NFL. And this year is really unprecedented. I mean, what are your thoughts on how it will be so different this year with a virtual draft?
It is unprecedented. You know, we finished the physical examinations done at the NFL Combine, and players were able to run and get measured and do all the things that we routinely do, and then things changed. And it's been different. We've certainly, we had an incredible amount of data. We had to stop working as scouts in our organization because many of the universities were closed. And of course, you know, the medical community thought it was not safe for us to be on campuses and to work out players. So sure. Many of the players have been doing that and been filming it. So we've been able to watch them do their workouts on film. Most of what we've done since the Combine has been done by video, and technology has been great. So I don't really think we're going to miss an awful lot. Our scouts have been able to get together. Our medical staff has been able to get together. You know, I love the draft. It's pretty exciting. I remember when Amani was drafted, as with all the players, you know, we see them at the Combine and they're individuals. We know what school they went to. We know about their records. And then they show up in your building and you get to talk to them and you get to know them. And in most cases, you get to know their parents. I've met both of Amani's parents over the years once they come to your team. And at the moment they're drafted, they become family. And that's so exciting. To get a new player and to learn who they are, their personalities, their on-field skills and talents. This is the pinnacle of why we do this.
Yeah. The Giants truly is a family, and it's impressive in that way. Now, I've seen this year as the team position side, we do all the things we normally do at the Combine, evaluating the players and all the images. But I've been impressed at the use of technology, all the videos that you and your staff are reviewing.
Yes, you know, there's over 300 players who are involved in the draft, maybe even more, because there are players considered for this draft that didn't attend the Combine. Right. And so we also have to know about them. And what do we want to know? We really want to know what the risk is for the player for the club. And so we're looking into their medical histories with their permission, using public information, and trying to establish what the risk might be to take take players. I always say the combine's a great opportunity for the player to get a multi-million-dollar physical examination, probably the best they've ever had.
Yeah.
From X-rays to CT scans to echocardiograms. Many have never had that. To MRI of the heart. I think it's extremely thorough. And I certainly don't like to think that players fail these exams. Some players carry more risks than others.
Yep. And no stone is left unturned. It's an impressive evaluation process. And at the end of the day, Amani, you probably remember going through the combine.
Yeah, actually, I was at this year's combine as a legend. Kind of like I was walking around with all the draft prospects, and just kind of, it's a very stressful situation for the players because like Ronnie said, this is the pinnacle. This is what they've been working their entire lives for, and now they're getting an opportunity to show what they can do. And one misstep or one drop or one this. I mean, it probably isn't, and in all actuality, isn't going to make that big of a difference because, in my opinion, the hay's pretty much in the barn. They know what you can do.
Right,
they've talked to your coaches. They've talked. This is kind of like just a throw-in, but still, it's competitive. You're seeing the guys that's gonna get drafted ahead of you or behind you, and you get to look at them up and down and really compete. And I loved it. I loved my experience because it just was like, I had a really good day on the combines, and it just really gave me a lot of confidence going into the NFL, thinking like, I athletically, I know I can do it. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff outside of athletically that you have to do, and be lucky in terms of, health and be in the right situation and being in an environment where people can understand your personalities. But I told all the guys, this is the most fun you're going to have when you're going to go in the NFL. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be the hardest, but it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so worth it. I said, I envy all of you. I said, if I could still run, I'd be doing it right now, but I can't. So just
you talk about
you guys.
Talk about the fun part of it. In addition to the draft, everything that happens this time of year is the players all come back. And this is usually about the time of year I'm kind of ready to see football again. It's been 3 months or something. And so what's different this year, of course, is the players aren't back. They should be back, like last week or so. So, Ronnie, your thoughts on what the players are doing now as far as virtual training, both, physical training and classroom training, now that they're not, that they're all still home?
We've been able to have our strength and conditioning coaches contact our players and to give them training regimens, and they can do it virtually. I think that's good. The players certainly miss the camaraderie of being with each other, but they are getting some guidance on that side. We've been able to send them equipment, certainly not barbells and other things, but we've been able to send them some dumbbells, some bands, some Swiss medical balls, and equipment that they may not have, and also to help them with other equipment. Fortunately, some players have an entire gym in their home basement. So that's been pretty good. Others need help, and we've been guiding them along the way. But I think what they really miss is training with each other. Pushing each other along and kind of developing a bond. And then, of course, at the end of a training day, getting together and having a dinner. So those are things that we're missing.
Sure. Yeah, and I've been impressed with the amount of effort that's gone into the technology, the organization to reach out to players, doing as much as you can. But again, there's that part you just can't do. You can't, the camaraderie. I mean, Amani, I'm sure you remember as a rookie coming in and meeting your teammates. I'm sure that's a big deal. It's a big part of it. And hopefully it'll happen, soonish, but I'm sure that's you can comment on that.
You're absolutely right. Ronnie hit it on the head where, I don't remember a lot of the catches. I don't remember a lot of the touchdowns. Of course, I remember the Super Bowls, but I remember and I miss the most is the camaraderie. I mean, that's the, going in the locker room, having everybody on the same page, having everybody with a single-minded focus. And that's kind of, being in the real world for as long as I have been now, you don't see that like you do in a football locker room. And you don't really know what you miss until it's gone. And it's a situation where, that's what I miss most. I hear most players will say that's what they miss most. And the times like now that you're not getting an opportunity to get to know your teammates is time missed, that they're going to have to figure out some sort of way to for this team to really connect and bond. And I'm fully confident that Judge, our new head coach, is going to be able to facilitate that.
Sure. Well, and that's what's great about sports is exactly that, the camaraderie. You know, the wins and losses are great, and that's why you play the game. But at the end of the day, it's about that, the camaraderie.
Absolutely.
And that's the fun lessons in sports. And that's what we're kind of missing right now, and hopefully get back to it soon. Ronnie, if you think about the season, I mean, clearly.
I learned the importance of our role in selecting players many years ago. Lawrence Taylor was a prospect, and he came to the combine. And we administered a Cybex test or an isokinetic test looking at his quad to hamstring ratio. Because the players have to run after being given that test, I don't think Lawrence really applied himself. So I came back, I'm putting together all the data, and I said, this Lawrence Taylor guy, he failed his Cybex, and I think he's a very high risk. Well, listen, if we bring him back to New York or to New Jersey and we give it to him, would you be happy about that? So we brought him back, and of course he passed the exam. He passed the Cybex, and his numbers all look great. So it meant that he really didn't apply himself there at the combine because he knew he had to run the next day. Well, I learned very quickly that you know, what I say matters, and so I look into every aspect of what we report and make certain that we're not making a mistake.
Right. What are your thoughts as far as what you're doing with the team now at the facility for when the players do come back? As far as things we'll do differently or precautions in this COVID-19 era.
Well, we're beginning to think about that. We have a task force at the Giants. We certainly know that social distancing is going to be a part of whatever it is we do. Until there is a therapeutic or a vaccine, then testing will also be a big part of what we do. So we are spending time with laboratories talking about what testing will look like. Hopefully we'll get our players back, and if so, will we quarantine them? Will they be allowed to go home? On the cleaning side, on the facility side, you know, we've spent a lot of time looking at quats and consulting with infectious disease people, how we should clean the place, how we should conduct our meetings, and how we're going to social distance. There are 90 players on a team, so some of that presents quite a bit of challenge. But we're working through it. We're having discussions, and I think we will be ready when the time comes. I think there are a lot more questions than answers at the moment. And as we understand more about this virus and about immunity, antibodies, and those things, I think it'll be very helpful to us to resume our sport.
Sure. I think on the medical side, we're trying to do the same and learn as much as you can each day and each week. As the new knowledge comes out, I think leadership at Special Surgery has done a great job of helping really keep us all apprised of the latest information as far as, in particular, the status of testing and new tests coming out and the accuracy of tests, so that we can help use what we're learning at the hospital, taking care of these patients here now, to help advise teams as far as safe way to bring our players back, whether we have to test and not just safety for the players, but the staff and our fans.
So Doc, what is the latest? What is the latest that's with the COVID? Because you hear things every day that that you don't know if it's true or not. So like, I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. Like, what's the latest on COVID-19 and where do we stand?
Sure, and we talk about it literally, truly every day here at Special Surgery, and I've been impressed with the level of communication and leadership here. So luckily, it looks like New York is kind of hopefully at the peak and starting to go down the other side of the mountain, if you will. Looking at the admissions and discharges here, testing is critical. There's been a lot of effort and attention paid toward testing. And there's two types of tests. One is a test for the virus. That's a so-called PCR test, polymerase chain reaction.
Is that the one in your nose?
That's the nasal swab, exactly. Okay. That tests for presence of the virus. Other test is serology test, testing for presence of antibodies, which would demonstrate or indicate that you've been exposed and now you have hopefully immunity. The presence of antibodies should signify immunity. The test for the virus is quite accurate now. There's been some concerns about the sensitivity of the test and the specificity, but those tests have gotten better and better. There's some issues with availability of the test early on. Now that's improved. The next kind of wave, if you will, is the antibody testing. And there are a number of antibody tests that have been evaluated or been produced commercially around the country. Now we're looking at the sensitivity of these tests, identifying the accuracy, and importantly, what it means to have antibodies. The presence of antibodies should mean the one is immune. We need to learn kind of how long does that immunity last, how effective is it, but it'll probably be a combination of these two tests that will be required to really let us move safely ahead as far as kind of return to work for all of us working, as well as our players coming back to their work. So that's going to be a critically important piece. And the pace of knowledge has accelerated just over the last week to 10 days. We've gotten a lot more information about the accuracy of these tests, new tests being developed. So I'm confident we're at a much different place today than we were just 10 days ago, as far as both availability of
How difficult
tests.
is it to develop a vaccine? I've heard that it could take 12 to 18 months, and certainly we don't know whether that will be successful. But talk about vaccines a little bit.
Yeah. So vaccine development takes time. Exactly. Vaccines are hard to develop because it's not like what's different than you developing a new drug. You test the drug on sick patients. A vaccine needs to be tested in well patients to see if you prevent a disease, and you need large groups of patients. So a vaccine development can take at least a year to develop an effective vaccine, because you need to test it on a large number of healthy patients and see if you can then demonstrate a decrease in the rate of new cases of a given condition. So it does take time. And so there are a number of drug companies that are looking at vaccine development now, but that does take time. But because of the worldwide spread here, there's a lot of effort to develop a vaccine.
Now, Dr. Rodeo, is there there's rumors of different strains? Is there different strains of this, or is there one strain? Or I mean, there's so much information that the general public is getting that we're completely confused.
So there are different strains. Viruses, by their very nature, can mutate. So viruses over time, they can mutate in different strains. And so, we have to, as we identify treatments or vaccines, we need to identify which treatments or vaccines are effective against different strains. And they can detect the different strains by looking at the genomic analysis, essentially the DNA content, the genome of the virus. So that's why viruses are tricky, and they can be a moving target. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. This was very helpful. Hopefully, we'll learn more, and we're going to get through this. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks a lot. We're going to do the draft virtually. So we've already had a mock draft, and we've had
who'd you take?
Test run. A test run with the NFL and with our organization. So we're all ready. We're going to spend a few days on Zoom, sitting and waiting for the new Giants, the new Amani Toomer to come on their roster.
Okay, all right. You need somebody better than him. He's old.
If anybody's prepared, the New York Giants will be prepared. They do their homework.
Exactly. Yeah, they definitely do.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, guys. Good night. Thanks so much.